Oh, perfect.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Is there a second?
This is Seth, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's start with introductions, and I would ask you please to use the microphones because we do have some people that are calling in, so everyone can hear. My name is Susan Kling. I am the board vice president, and I will be conducting the meeting tonight because our president is on vacation. So this.
Seth Mumi, I'm a library board member.
Nancy Miller, library board member.
Rice, board member.
Oh, here, we're sharing.
Randy Sternad, City Council for the City of Marion.
Colette Atkins, City Council.
Bill Brandt, City Council.
Grant Harper, City Council.
Sarah Menser, City Council.
Terrell Hunter, IT Director.
Kim Downs, Deputy City Manager.
Ryan Waller, City Manager.
Kara Bullerman, City Attorney.
And I'm Jack Zumwalt, a library board member.
James Tian, Library.
Kimberly Calver, Library Administrative Assistant.
Bill Carroll, Library Director.
And with those of you online, please introduce yourselves.
Jeremy Y with Bush Construction.
Chelsea Nunn, Library Board Member.
Thank you. I'd also like the staff that's here to introduce themselves.
Hi, Amy Geiger.
No.
Hi, Amy Geiger with the Marion Public Library Foundation.
Kylie Pustiaski with the library.
Sean Kelly with Emberg Anderson.
Lara Mollers with the library. Jackie Tracy with the library. Sue Girth with the library.
Sandy Rancier with the library.
Thank you all for coming.
Susan, you might have to speak a little closer to your microphone, Enjoy.
Bill, I'm going to ask you to give a library spotlight.
All right, everybody. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. Couple spotlights this evening I wanted to share with the group. First up is a proclamation that the mayor signed for the library in honor of Library Card Sign Up Month. That was included in your packet. So it's very nice to feel that support from council and the mayor and city staff. And I wanted to share that with the library board as well. It's just an important piece of the puzzle of getting access and information into the hands of our residents. And that is also made possible by our very hardworking staff, who we're also very appreciative of. And to that end, would like to celebrate a couple of our staff members this evening who have some milestone anniversaries. So we have Christine Broderick, who is celebrating 1 year of service. I don't think Christine's here to get her certificate. We have Jacob Hoskins, who's celebrating 10 years of service. I think Jacob wasn't able to make it either. But Sue Girth was here, and we're celebrating Sue and thanking her for her 5 years of service with the library. Thank you, Sue. All right, moving on in the spotlight. We had a couple of thank yous that were sent to the library this month, 2 in 1 month. So Nancy Miller has an example of one of the thank yous that was sent to us. That was from an inmate who wanted to send a very special thank you to us. Anything that you wanted to say about that, Nancy?
I went to the Friends of the Library Board meeting and this was what they received. Dear Marion Library, Friends of the Library, thank you very much for the generous donation of books. Our inmate population are thrilled with the various novels. The enclosed thank you card was made by hand from one of our incarcerated individuals. Thank you, Dib Mahoney, ASP Treatment Secretary. And I'm going to pass this around because this is fantastic. I know my second grade school teacher personality is coming out, but you know, here it is. Flips, it has sweet, the handwriting, and this is I would like to meet this person, but of course they won't. So let's see. We'll start here with you. I'm just so impressed that the library could bring some joy to the incarcerated.
Thank you, Nancy. The other thank you that the library received, I'm not going to read it to you, but it's from a local organization called Friendship Force. And this is a Cedar Rapids, Iowa City organization that brings goodwill to the universe, and had a recent delegation of Peruvians come in to see Cedar Rapids and tour around the corridor area. And one of the destinations that they stopped at was the new library building. And they sent a very, very nice thank you card to us. And it's great to get those thank yous, but the content of the card was what really struck a chord for me, in that they were impressed with our commitment to diversity and helping our residents reach higher, have access to state-of-the-art facilities and amenities in our community. And it reinforces all the good work that we are, all of us in this room, doing to help our residents. So I felt it was important to share that with council and the library board. And just congratulate all of us for doing and meeting the expectations of those in our community. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And once again, I want to reintroduce Sean Kelly from Engbert Anderson. Thanks for coming, Sean. And Jeremy from Bush Construction is joining us over Zoom.
Yeah, so Jeremy and Sean were invited to give the library board and council a brief update on construction status. So I'll turn it over to them.
Thank you for having me. I got to take a look at some of the questions that you guys were looking at. I don't know if you all received those or not, but they include the interior and exterior punch list, exterior railings, our laboratory sink shrouds, the drainage issue we have on the north side of the building, the interactive play structure, some technology equipment that we have, some delayed times on the drive-through window, and some climate controls. Let's just start at the top and start with the interior and exterior punch lists. I was up there this morning, did a walkthrough early this morning. Most of the interior stuff has been completed. The painter was there today trying to touch some things up that were on the punch list. And overall, just go through the areas on the first and second floor and just get some stuff cleaned up. So the exterior items that we have to complete right now, we have a hand railing on the southeast corner, and a downspout that need to be reinstalled. The trades have been contacted and they are under the impression that they are good to go. I have not received a time back on that, but typically they're usually there within a week or so and get that cleaned up for us. I had a building inspection this morning. Everything looked good. The things that we need to still do, we have a couple holes we need to fire caulk, some tape on a sprinkler head. There's some speakers that are on back order on the terrace that need to be covered up. And then we have the terrace doors are still a little difficult to open. So just a few items to address. The plan is to get MEP inspections final done hopefully within the next week or so. Kind of touched on the exterior hand railings. Those are instructed to be done. We do have a change request coming through on getting some toe kicks on the ramp. That should have been coming through here in the next week or so, I would say. So touching on the sink shrouds, we've been working with Barnes Manufacturing there in town, and we've also been working with Sloan. It looks like both of these individuals are going to help us out. I'll let Sean kind of touch base on those as he's had most of the conversations with Sloan.
Do you want to finish up or do you want me to jump in now, Jeremy?
Go ahead and jump in now since we're on the topic there.
Okay. So about a year ago, we identified the issue of enclosures under the sinks. At that point, we issued requests for proposals. We came up with a design intent for it. Many of the contractors that we reached out to declined to provide one. Sloan does not actually provide one for this sink. So we've been working with Sloan. They initially said they wouldn't provide one. On our insistence, they've been coming up with a design of their own for these shrouds. I've updated the library with them. It's been kind of a longer process with Sloan to figure out a way to do it based on the sinks that they're Sloan sinks. So we're hoping that Sloan would provide a product for us. And they've come up with something that is, some are acceptable, some are not. So we're still working through those. The other path that we're going is a millwork path. So it'd be created by like just a carpenter would come and fabricate these and hang them to the wall. There's several issues with them, which is why this is taking so long. One is accessibility. They must be accessible. And then the other one is access. You want to be able to access the stuff behind the shrouds. So you can't just hang something up and then, I mean, we could just hang something up and if something goes wrong, you got to tear it off. That didn't seem like the right approach. So you need to make sure that you have proper access to that area. Right now we have at least a partial design from Sloan that we think is approved or is acceptable. And we've asked for pricing from Sloan. We provided, I believe that there was a mock-up provided by a local mill worker, but there wasn't any drawings or anything provided. So I'm unable to review anything that I can't actually see. I was provided with images, but I can't tell you if those are acceptable or not, because they're not. I would need a set of drawings, which is pretty typical of a mill worker to provide.
And if I'm correct, we can't open it without those, right, without the shrouds?
You need to have protection under your sinks. Shrouds are not required. You need to have protection of the pipes. So there are other products out there which are basically pipe guards, or like the Kleenex version of them. They're called skull guards. They basically protect the pipes from people's knees hitting them. And you can get that. I mean, we could probably get that in a day, but it would be very unsightly. The reason for the shrouds is to cover everything up. So you have electronic faucets, electronic soaps. You have a lot of piping down there it is both an accessibility, because we think the skull guards aren't the greatest solution to this, but they are a solution. We wanted something that would cover.
Solution?
It would be a temporary solution, absolutely. It would be a 100% acceptable. It's just not visually acceptable.
Right, I get that. But we want to get in that building. And I'm sorry, you just said are we expected to cover cost on this?
On the
For
shrouds?
the shrouds?
Yes, yeah, that would be
Why would we, I don't understand why we would be covering costs on a product that you guys, without a plan B, I guess, decided, why would we cover that? That was a base thing that we paid for. So why would we have to cover additional changes?
you didn't pay for the shrouds. That's not something that was included. That's something we're recommending that you provide. We can provide the pipe protection and we could be done. But it wasn't something included in the original bid. Like the library or the city, whoever you want to look at, should pay for things that they're getting. These aren't free, and they weren't included in the original documents.
I'm sorry, then when did they come? I don't remember us voting on that we had to have shrouds as opposed to the other. Do you remember when that?
No, we recommended that you get shrouds versus the other because of the wires and things available under there. Typically, these things come with shrouds. This one model doesn't.
When did you find out that it doesn't?
about a year ago, when we started requesting proposals from other contractors to cover the sinks.
You were unable to find any contractor to offer an RFP or, I mean, I know of 2 fabrication shops in town that could probably knock the drawings out in a day and get something put together in aluminum or stainless. I'm not sure what was their hesitancy to provide an RFP.
I don't know that. I requested the RFPs.
Okay. So you don't know why they were declined? So you weren't able to fix what was lacking for them?
We initially put out a proposal request. They then came back with comments. I then adjusted my drawings based on their comments. And that whole process took several months. I believe that was about a year ago. And then they declined to bid on it after months of back and forth. Then we reissued a request for other contractors. We started down with one. We thought it was going to work out. Didn't. We asked for another one. They took a while. They backed out. We've been requesting this for a while. It's not, I mean, the process is I make the requests, I do the drawings, and then I come back and I review the costs for them and provide recommendations to you.
So,
Have a temporary task, we have to.
Yes.
so one of my questions is, I understand we have to pay for shrouds. Are we incurring costs from Engbird and from Bush Construction for you guys to work on trying to find this shroud solution that you've been working on for a year? Are we incurring costs for that?
I'm not currently requesting any additional costs for that.
Jeremy, are we acquiring costs from Bush Construction for you guys working on this issue?
For direct costs related to the shrouds, no.
Okay, that's good, because I don't think we should be getting costs for this, because this seems like somebody dropped the ball on this, and it doesn't seem like the library should be having to pick that up. So where are we at on the solution that Tom Barnes has put into the single sink? There's a template that's been installed in the single sink, and so where does that stand?
So I met with the inspector today, the building inspector. He looked at it and says, it looks good. It looks acceptable.
Okay, so now what's the next step there, is to get a price from Tom?
I think we get a price from Tom to provide the singles and a price to provide the double sinks. And I believe some of the conversation with Sloan is that they would be able to provide a single as well. I think we get a proposal from them and look at the costs and determine which direction we want to go.
Yep, I definitely agree. We should get costs from both, but we also need to get this moving. And if Sloan can't provide costs and you get an acceptable cost from Tom Barnes, I would kind of suggest we kind of keep moving forward.
Right, I believe the schedule is completely in your control on that.
Okay. Did we ever find out if that sink shroud needed to have a bottom in it or not?
Yeah, I responded to some images that James provided me with, and I gave generally a review of what I could see, but bottoms are not required.
Okay, that'll make things easier, and that'll make it less expensive for Barnes to manufacture that as well and install it. Okay.
I did want to just talk. I've been a part of the project for 3 or 4 months or so. Since I took over and had the opportunity to look into these shrouds, I did have I had 2 contractors look at it. One actually came out, measured everything, and essentially was working with me for several weeks, and then basically just went silent on me when the ADA stuff started arising. And then another one that we were working with that we've worked with in the past actually gave us like a 16-week lead time, and the price was was significantly high. And really wasn't an option with the 16 weeks.
Yeah. So something, go ahead, O'Connor.
I just want to go down the punch list. What are the things that we have to get done in order to open the building?
So right now, to open the building, it's going to be the shrouds is one. And then I have a handrail on the main staircase that needs to be modified. What was provided to us in a drawing was acceptable to Sean and I, and the trade has been informed to move forward with it. They have not given me an update, but I will continue to request that from them. I believe those are the only two items on the interior that would hold you off on opening.
Jeremy, this is Kara Bullerman. Who's the contractor on the handrail that isn't getting back to you?
It's Zephyr.
Okay.
Are there other questions from board members?
I think, Bill, are you going to speak to the software issue as well? As somebody,
So a week or so ago, a question arose on our weekly construction call about technology that was not supposed to ship to the library until December 29th of this year. Perhaps I misunderstood, but it was my understanding that that technology controlled security and technology for projectors, room software, and access to the building. But I've since been corrected that is limited to just the community room. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Acme and CTI, and it sounds like most of that, I think 2 or 3 of the items were related to the projector, and they said it was confined to the conference room.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question for you then. In walking through the building with the team this morning, we saw that there are several projectors missing in, for example, the boardroom, one of the, I think it was the teen room. There's no control panel access for raising or lowering the projection screens in any of the rooms in the building. So is that related to this issue or is that a separate issue?
I would have to check with them, Bill. I honestly can't answer that right now.
Okay.
The screens are controlled by the AV system. So until you have the AV system, you wouldn't be able to control the screens. They raise them up and lower them.
And Sean, when you say the AV system, do you mean the projector technology or? What?
No, your community room has a, I would say, more of a advanced system. There will be a screen. You interface with the touch screen. Screen will have the controls for the screen. It's not just it's a touch screen. Will have controls for the projection screen to make it come up and down. So you'd have to interface through that, which would interface with the.
But I'm talking about the screens in all of the other meeting rooms. Not just the community room. The boardroom has a screen in it that we can't get down.
Yeah, there should be a small panel on the wall that has and that might be part of what's not there, but you wouldn't have a separate screen control. It's an all-in-one type controller that goes on the wall. So we need to get those controllers installed because they would not only turn on your projector, they would also lower your screen.
Okay,
So it's like an all-in-one control.
Those are blanked off right now in that room.
Okay,
I know exactly where you're talking now.
so just for clarification, the missing projectors and the missing panels that have blank screens on the walls is not a part of the delay for the December 29th ship date. That's something separate.
I'd have to call them and double check on it.
Okay,
so I just want to get clarity. So we're saying the railing, the shrouds are the last 2 things that we need before we can get occupancy in the building. So the software is not an issue.
Correct. So the two things that are preventing a full occupancy permit from the building department and fire inspection would be the railings and would be those coverings on the pipes or the shrouds, however you want to look at it.
Internal railing? Is there anything on the exterior that's delaying occupancy?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, there's an external railing that is missing as well on the southeast corner of the building near the staff entrance.
Yes, but it can be installed, and both the trades, Blackhawk Roofing and Peak, have been advised to move forward with that.
And do we
So
have a
it should
date
be
on
getting
that?
done. They haven't done it up until this morning, but I can double check with them. They didn't get back to me late last week, so it can be done. It's 2 days worth of work.
So to summarize, Opar, it's the railings and the shrouds that are the two items that would prevent occupancy.
So when do we think those are gonna get done?
Zephyr has been unresponsive. And I asked for an update twice last week and never got an update from them.
Is there a backup vendor?
I would say no, not for this handrail. I know they have the proposed solution and it has been accepted. And to move forward, like I said, they've been unresponsive. And this is pretty standard for them to go weeks without response.
And he's speaking of the internal railing, not the exterior one. The exterior one is two different contractors.
So is there a way we could get a date? You know, when could we expect these things to be done? A week, 2 weeks?
If they could get the material, it's probably a couple day ordeal just to get the handrail in and get it completed. It's not a ton of work.
So we don't know if they have the supplies right now?
We need to make sure they have the supplies, correct?
Council members, yeah, go ahead.
Sean and Jeremy, this is Grant Harper, City Council member. As I listen to the discussion surrounding these individual components that are outstanding, I recognize there's a limited number of things that are permissives for occupancy. And I guess I need to just clarify, Bill, in occupancy means we open to the public or we open fully to staff?
Open to the public.
Okay, so Sean and Jeremy, what I'm beginning to think about is there's the occupancy critical items which you've outlined, but then there are also what I'm going to call programmatic critical items. Whatever this technology package consists of and whatever it interfaces with, what I'm discerning is the lack of that technology package is disabling to the program rollout for the library.
Agree with that.
So I think we have two venues of project closure that need to be delineated in a written list, a matrix, if you will, of critical path closure items to bring that facility to full operability. Instead of talking about it in bits and pieces and breadcrumbs, can we produce a fully integrated listing of all outstanding issues, what the issue is, what it affects, any commentary, as well as then targeted completion or delivery date? And that is routinely, perhaps on a weekly basis, reviewed with library staff and board members so that we can see the pathway to closure. Now, I'm speaking from the standpoint of having run large multi-million-dollar projects. And if I was within 90 days of project closure and had the imprecision of information coming to me from my project teams, I'd be very concerned. So I think part of what is a little vexing here is to integrate the information flow that everybody has the same sheet of paper and knows the status. And as status changes through your interactions with vendors, getting commitments from them, that's updated and is almost made available with updates real time. So my comments are really more around the project management and at this point, the latent phase risk management to this project and less about the individual items. You know, and this technology package that is supposed to ship at the end of December, that one caught my fascination quite keenly. You know, are there any means by which any of that can be expedited and beat that date that's now being published? And, you know, are there alternatives for the same equipment from a different supplier avenue? Maybe it's too late in the game to be exploring that, but for these things that have languished for a period of time, I think I think we just have to shift into a different mode because we've got a community that wants a library. Fully functional, all programs operable. So those are my concerns and I stand ready to dialogue with anybody about that. But I really think integration of outstanding information and statusing and commentary and keeping that updated on a daily basis is what's going to be necessary, and to seek alternatives if delays are unacceptable. So that's my composite set of thoughts and I guess my admonition to you guys running the project.
I don't know if this is the time, but with the letter that library board, Nancy Miller, this is another individual item. And I'll read the email that I had gotten from the drive-up service window does not allow for patrons to conduct business from inside their vehicles. The window does not reach out far enough for patrons to conduct business. The architect and Bush both have been informed of this a couple weeks ago. And as of our construction meeting a couple of days ago, still waiting to hear back for a quote. Because that is such a unique feature to be able to drive up and not get out of your car and pick up your material and it's not working or it's not high enough or low enough. I know this is one item, but it's adding to the list. That's such a consumer driven item. I mean, there's other things in this letter, but to add to what you have to say.
Sean, I'll touch on this one. I had a conversation this morning with a contractor up there in Cedar Rapids. The one that we sent a submittal out on, it is not available. They are looking into other alternatives that are similar, and they're working to get me a cost and a lead time on that.
Is this a design issue?
We provided a drive-through accessible window and book drop per the manufacturer's requirements. I can tell you one thing about a book drop. This isn't a service window, but it will never be at the right height, no matter what you do. Every book drop, everyone will have a complaint or a suggestion about what the height is. So we follow the manufacturer's recommendations. That's the height that it's at. The service window is installed per the manufacturer's instructions. I'm not sure.
Does it work? And you know, who's supposed to pay for that change?
We are looking for solutions to provide based on the challenges that you've presented to us. All I can do is work on a solution for you, which we apparently don't have now. We found one. We asked for pricing on it. They said it's not available. So now we have to go back to the drawing board and look at a different solution for you.
Can we talk?
Can you explain exactly what is wrong with the window? 'Cause I guess I'm not following exactly what's wrong.
Over the past several weeks, staff have been learning the new workspace, learning what the workflows are going to be. And one of the exercises they did was to pull a vehicle up to the full service window where staff are supposed to be helping patrons. And it was discovered that the patrons can't reach the book drop to put their items into the book drop because the window is that far away. So even with a staff member pulling their vehicle up as close as possible to the building, they still couldn't reach.
Is it something that comes out like you're at
It
the
is.
bank type
It
of
is,
thing?
but it doesn't come out far enough.
Ah, okay, thank you.
Comment? That's so commonplace in fast food and banks and everything. I mean, it's incredulous to me that this is not an odd item at all.
Okay, so I'm gonna back this up and a little bit of what Grant said. So we have this big, beautiful building that was supposed to open in May. We're going round and round, and we're getting down to the details, but as Grant said, overall, what keeps this building from opening? Because I know from my perspective, I've watched the enthusiasm and the love of this building, which they will continue to have, slowly kind of creeping down because they can see it. They can see the things in it. It looks like it's open, but it's not. So how do we get movement? And I get certain things are not going to be great. And I'll often say, an old mentor used to say, let's not let the quest for perfection stop progress. So how do we get this building open? It's not going to be perfect. No matter what we do with this building when we open it, it is not going to be perfect. But people are going to love it. So how do we get this building open so that the community can stop asking? Grant said, big list. Here's the big things. Here is what, if the drive-through isn't great and we've got to work on that, we've got to work on it. But my understanding is that doesn't keep the building from opening. We apparently need something under the sinks that we could do something that isn't as pretty, but we could still open it with something else. People can use the restroom. We can open the building. We can get a railing up in 2 days, right? 3 days, something I heard it could be days once it's open.
If they have the supplies that they don't know that they have.
But once we get that something, we can open the building. So those are the two things, right, that have to happen to open the building. From that point, it's like a house. We have a punch list. My job was the Marion YMCA. It was not perfect, but we worked through it as we opened because we had to get the building open. So who here is responsible for making sure this gets ordered, done, decision made, order the stuff, get the railings up. If we have to change it out later, if we have to get the stuff underneath. And in this bill, when your staff is ready to and comfortable, open the building. Am I missing something? Is that too simple? I mean, I get it. We're gonna have punch list after punch list and the punch list, and the punch list will continue to grow and the punch list will continue to go. And there's gonna be things we're gonna look back and want to do different. But I guess from our perspective, what do we need to do? How do we need to do it? When can we do it? Who makes the decision? And let's go.
Okay, so Sarah, your questions are wonderful. They're great. They're spot on. I'm going to deflect your question a bit to Jeremy with Bush. Jeremy is the representative of our construction manager. So I think many of the answers that you're looking for time-wise for the railings and the alternative for the pipes and the under the sinks would fall to our construction manager.
Thank you. I do appreciate the question. First, I want to start with the electronics package that we have spoke about a number of times to get the building operational. Right now, I have control panels for the main rooms, as you guys have asked. Those were actually supposed to be shipped on 9/5 and should be here very soon to get those installed, which will take care of access to those rooms. We have a video system for a community room that is on back order until 12/29. That item was ordered a year ago. Lens for the community room projector was ordered a year ago. That's 11/2. The antenna for the wireless mic in there is supposed to be delivered 10/3. And the main control for the space should have been shipped. So access to those control systems, what I received the other day looks good. So
Jeremy, sorry to
overall,
interrupt you. Sorry to interrupt. When you say the main control system, can you explain what that means, please?
the main control for the space is for the community room.
Okay,
That shipped 8/31. And then the control panels for the main rooms, those shipped 9/5. And those I checked on, they haven't received them, but they should be here any day. So operational for electronics should be in good shape, hopefully at the end of next week. Laboratory scald guards, I can have those in a day or two and get that completed for you. Hand railing, as we discussed, that's something that I need to get with Zephyr with. Zephyr is one of our trades that received a notice to cure because they were unresponsive and not doing their work, along with a handful of other trades. So right now, I think if we could get them on board to get their work done, all of the other things hopefully could be done in the next week or two, pending delivery dates and lead times, from what I got the other day. Overall, if we are to open, we have to continuously, it seems like we're always adding scope of work to these trades, whether it's new doors, we're constantly getting requests to add more scope of work. I suggest from here, we stop with adding more scope. Let's get the contract work done and get you guys moved in.
Jeremy, this is Kara Bullerman again. I have a question. Has Zephyr ever responded since we sent that letter out?
They've responded a couple times on the hand railings. A handful of other times I've emailed them and called with no response, but they showed up and just got their work done. So they're not responsive, but they do show up and get stuff done. They just don't tell me.
So I don't know if you need any additional leverage, but we're sitting on the request for status from their bond company, if that would light a fire under them.
Yeah, and and honestly, I can tell them that a notice to cure is going to come to get their work done. And we don't have to send one, but we can use that leverage to get them there and get it done. Their suggested fix is not, it's very simple. They just need to show up and get it done.
Is that something we can have somebody else do?
For that small thing, I would say going through, trying to get a proposal, get something made is going to be significantly longer than us pushing on them to get it done. I'll make a phone call to those guys tomorrow and I will push them for an answer.
I did want to just address some of the things that you point. We have 3 lists, one for the interior, one for the exterior, and one for furniture. Those have been provided. We go through them. We actually have weekly meetings with the library. We are trying to address these the best we can. I think we're having response issues. I say we because I think this is a full design team. There's not just a construction manager and an architect and an owner. I feel like we're all in this together. We need decisions by owners to make sure that we're proceeding in the proper way. I think the city's been helpful by issuing some of these notice to cures. I've not been on a project where we've basically issued a notice to cure to almost every single contractor. People aren't responsive to us, and we're doing the best we can to get them to be responsive. But we do have a list, and we do go through it, and we do identify what is critical and what is not in terms of getting the library open. The whole list is critical, but there are more important items on there.
With you two gentlemen, with the contractors, who's your contact with the city? Who's the one holding the responsibility of, and who that contact is? I feel like we got 3 drivers of this item here. Nobody's at the wheel. So when we say the city, who is it that you're talking about? Who's the one person that you two guys are working with on a daily basis?
I direct basically all of my questions or comments to James, and then I copy Bill.
Okay. Jeremy, what about you?
Likewise.
Everything's going through the deputy director?
James and Bill are copied on
Okay.
almost every single correspondence that we
So
have.
is there a master list of items? I feel like we're working off of legal pads that have been sketched in the corners here for quite some time. Who's got the master list? You said you walked through it today, but you're also saying the scope is changing every day.
We have a handful of proposal requests that are out there. That's outside of the general contract scope of work. A lot of these trades are unresponsive to those. I know that Bill and James, there's a handful of items that I know they want completed, but I am having trouble getting our trades to jump on board to continue with additional work on the Marion Library. Right now, I propose that we stick with the contract work, get it done. And then from there, if there's any additions that you guys would like, that those things are taken care of later on down the road.
I would totally agree with you, but you've got the attention of the city council now, Jeremy. So if this master list sits with you, James, and that's updated daily, weekly, because I hear a lot of should haves, I hear a lot of we thinks, but we all know how that works, right? So Jeremy, you've been handed this project, what, you said 3 months ago?
About 3 months ago, yeah.
So my belief is the quicker we can get this project done, the quicker this project will move. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
And where are you sitting at today, sir?
I'm remote at my house.
So you're not in Marion?
No, I'm fairly close to Marion though. I have
Okay,
about an
so-
hour drive to get there.
Okay, so you're here frequently though?
Yeah, I actually spent roughly 2.5, 3 months full time up there. For the most part, there were some days here and there that I wasn't there, but for the most part, I was there full time. One of the biggest issues we had here in the last few months was once we kicked the master punch list out, our trades were unresponsive, and I worked with Kara, and we had to actually send out notice to cures to almost all of our trades to come in and actually get their work done. It did work. We're, like you said, we're right here. We're right at the end. We just need this last push to get these things done and get you guys occupancy.
Right, I totally agree. And we all know what the elephant in the room is here. As we're approving these receipts, or excuse me, these accounts payables going out, it makes me pause and consider what is actually taking place with this. So can we agree then to move these things forward like Councilman Harper said, and have a check-in every 48 hours or so to see where these items are so that we can have a little bit more closer attention to these items? I take that as a no, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine with having to check in. Who am I
Okay,
reporting? Who do we report to now? Do I report directly to a city council member now?
No, I don't believe there's been any ask for any change to that. I think what we're all looking for here is just some more, a little bit more quicker accountability. It's been a little confusing, I'm shocked at the amount of items that are missing that people are just discovering on a daily basis here. I guess that's what my concern is. And it just feels like we're moving, we don't have lists that are solid and we're not checking off a list. Like you said, the scope is changing a little bit, but to not have this technology that our library director is saying is not there, we're just now discovering these things. Those are the concerns that I have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few items that we knew were long lead items that for the last probably 6 or 8 months, we knew they were long lead items. A few of the items that were brought to our attention a couple weeks ago were new. But yes, there is some stuff that's still long lead, such as the speakers out on the terrace, some room schedulers, which should be in. But I know those were ordered late because of a change on the documents. But yes, we've ran into some lead time issues with a lot of these things.
Hey, Jeremy, this is James. Where are we, where do we stand with door access? That is my primary concern right now is several of our doors, we, one, don't have keys that work for the locks, and then two, there's no door access. So as a safety concern, I feel that if someone is, let's say, in a study room, has a medical emergency with the door closed, we have no access to get to that person. We have staff members that we need to unlock a door manually every morning for staff to get into the building. Where do we stand with all this? That is a big hang up for myself.
So I asked CTI on, I believe it was Thursday or Friday last week, if they could get in there and get all of your systems up and running. Their last email was they were getting it on their schedule to come in and get that stuff completed. I believe that would involve them and Hawkeye getting those systems up and running. I will double check with them again on when they will be in there to get that stuff running for you.
Are there other questions?
I just want to clarify something. So the railing or the interior railing that is needed for occupancy, that it is here or is not here? Is it physically here?
It is not physically there.
And where has it been fabricated?
We approved probably last week, midweek. We approved the solution to the fix. I sent that back to them and I requested a date on when they would have it completed and installed. I've yet to receive a response back from them.
Okay. Is there a way to do something temporary so that they can get occupancy?
I can take a look at it. There's always a way.
Because it sounds like you can do something for, I forget what you called it, the skull, whatever, yeah. And then if you could do something temporary for the railing, then you could get occupancy sooner than later, correct?
Correct.
And if the contractor is not replying to actually do the work, this is out of right field, is it possible for staff, city staff, like public service to go there and actually do the work?
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you guys would like to do something and just get it done for a temporary, yes.
We gotta know. Sean's shaking his head.
I don't think so. I
Like-
mean, it's a
Liability.
metal railing that needs to be removed and replaced with a new metal railing.
Cut off and
I would not recommend, I would recommend a contractor do it. I have every faith in city staff to do it, but I think that you want a contractor. that
Sure.
is-
I was just thinking, or for expediting it, because you said we'd have to do an RFP to get somebody new and just the time frame. If we had staff that could do that work, or
Yeah, I do believe, and we've done this on other places, and this may not actually be better. Sometimes it's much harder to get someone else in to do things than it is to push the people you've already hired to do it. I believe there's typically a threshold where you can do your own work and not have to worry about bidding it or anything like that. Typically, it's $25,000. This would definitely fall underneath that, but I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's going to be any faster than the person who we have an approved drawing with, just to get it. But I understand, I'm not downplaying the frustration. I don't know if it's going to be any faster.
City manager?
Thank you. Jeremy, I got a quick question for you. What are you, project manager? Is that your title?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And who do you report to?
I report to Ryan in our office. I actually believe he is on. Ryan Wellborn is who I report to.
Were you asking Bush or with?
Yeah, with Bush.
I report to the director of construction.
Not on there. Okay. So my question was gonna be with the issues that you're having with Zephyr and some of the others, some of the other issues. Are you reporting this up to Ryan Is he involved in this? Are they, any of these calls being elevated?
Yes, he is well aware of the struggles we have had with all of these trades. He was aware of all of the notice to cures that went out. But ultimately, at the end of the day, typically we hold the contracts and it's easy for us to go after the trades. In this case, it's a slightly different because the city holds the contracts with these trades.
Are any of these trades, are they trades, companies that Bush has relationships with elsewhere?
Very few of them. Most of these are all trades that we have worked with for the first time in town.
Thank you.
Yeah, question. So going back to what Sarah said, to separate these between need to have these to open and things that are very disappointing to be at this point, but do not hold us back from opening. They're the shrouds and the rails. There's two rails, interior and exterior. Do those both keep us from opening?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And then the keys, the access, that may not be an occupancy requirement, but is that a requirement? As staff director and deputy director, would you feel uncomfortable opening without that?
I would. We are the keepers of confidential information and we have no way of securing our facility at this point.
And are those the only four? Are those the four things that would keep you, are there any?
Two
is there anything else?
railings, shrouds, and security. Yes.
Is there, as a board, do we need a motion for the scald guards to go in place as a temporary solution for that piece?
I don't think so. I think you can, we can,
Okay.
I can,
Then we should do that.
yes.
And the rails, we're going to get timelines on. We don't have timelines on those. We don't know if they have the materials, right? And those are both with Zephyr, the interior and the exterior?
Interior handrails are with Zephyr. Peak and Blackhawk Roofing are exterior. I believe that work will probably be done before the end of the week.
Okay. Kara, is there, from a legal perspective, if Zephyr does not continue, if they continue not to respond, continue not to do the work, can you go through what our options are? And then do you need, I don't know who asks you to do those, if it needs to be a council directive or a board directive to get things moving, is that, can you tell us what your options are?
So generally what the options are, and I don't have that contract directly in front of me, that specific one, but under the AIA, generally what the response is we do exactly what we did, which is we send out the notice to cure. We give them so much time to come in and finish up what they're supposed to do. We did send that out. It went out on, I believe, July 29th and gave them through the beginning of August to come out and do things. It sounds like they were partially responsive. However, they haven't been fully responsive. After that, we have some other options, one of which is to hire somebody else to get it done without any further notice to them. We've kind of talked about the difficulties with that. That's one option we have. And then if it costs more or things like that, then that we would be able to go after them for damages in that situation. And those are kind of the two easiest things that we can do at this point in time. The thing that would potentially mean the most to them is if we report them to their bond company, because then it can make it more difficult for them to get bond in the future. The other thing that we can do is we can put them on notice that we're going to declare them an unresponsible contractor, and we would pass a resolution through council. And then even if they are the lowest bidder, we do not need to select them for further work with the city. And that would be public notice, or there would be a public record of that. So other cities and other entities in the area would be on notice of that as well.
Thank you. And those sound very drastic and very legalese, but if we were to do that, does that take a directive from council, or does that take a directive from us, or is that your decision? City manager's decision? Whose decision is that?
You are the contract holder, I believe, for this one. So that would need to come, my direction would need to come from the library board.
That you would need a motion for.
Yep. Yeah, I imagine. Okay, I think that's it.
So how long do you give Zephyr to respond before we go to some type of plan B?
So we've already given them one notice. It would be up to you if we wanted to give them another short notice, which would be, hey, we sent you this notice to cure. You still have not done this particular thing, do this, or we're going to submit this bond status and let them know that you have not completed the work. And we are also going to do whatever else you authorize me to do. I know the city engineer keeps asking me daily, at what point do I send these back? At what point do I do anything? So, and that's the only one that we, I think, are currently holding because we wanted to see if they completed the work before we send it back. We don't want to ruin somebody's career if they're going to come in and do the work.
Oh, I'm sorry, and one more, the door locks, what's the update on that? I don't know. Do we hear that? Is that part of the software issue or what is that?
The door locks is part of CTI, Hawkeye, and Acme. I plan to get with them in a meeting tomorrow and all the dates that were outstanding, and basically just get you guys a good date of when all this stuff's going to be done and or ship dates.
Is CTI held to the same, do we give them a notice to cure already?
So the notice to cure for CTI would actually go to Acme Electric. They are a very responsive contractor. They have been on site in the last week and a half. They respond to me often. Right now, a lot of their stuff is lead time issues. And I did try to coordinate with CTI last week on getting in and getting your systems up and running. Like I said, they said they were going to be in there and get it on their schedule. We'll talk to them again tomorrow and let them know that it is a high priority to get your guys' system going as fast as we can go.
And I don't speak for the whole board without a motion, but it's really disappointing without dates. I mean, we are tasked with setting an opening date for the library when these dates keep moving. And I understand supply chain issues and all of that, but they may be responsive to you, but if we don't have a date, our hands are tied on really what we can do. I don't want to ruin someone's business and report them as an irresponsible vendor or whatever, but the facts remain, they're not being responsible at this time. So I don't know what we can do as a board otherwise.
I mean, we're late already, just for the record. I don't know why that seemed to have gotten lost. We're months behind where we're supposed to be. And again, I understand people are working on this finished construction project. I get it. But this is not what we were told over the last 6, 7, 8 months. So I think, and that's Bill and James, I know you guys will have this conversation in your weekly meetings, but I just think that people want a little bit of urgency. It doesn't sound like there's any urgency to get this done. It just sounds like, oh, well, we're just sort of waiting. But you kind of knew we were here already, I think is part of the problem. And I think that's what's adding to the frustration. Don't want to speak for the full library board, but it just seems like behind every door. This is the first time I've heard that, we can do something with those pipes and get that knocked out. We've been talking about this for the last 3 months. It doesn't feel like, I'm just gonna be honest, that you guys are taking this really seriously. And that I agree with you. I mean, we have people who are driving past this building every single day. It's a huge piece for the city. We need to get this building open. Granted, it's not gonna be perfect, but you gotta have some sense of urgency. It just feels like everything is just a little wishy-washy. So again, if the people who have to do the railings are not responsive, then what's plan B? Like we can't keep, another 30 days, 45 days. How long before we go to the next plan? But I don't hear any of that. And that's just very alarming to me. So I told Bill, the building will be open by Christmas, maybe, at this rate. So, I just think that we really need to, I would love to hear some urgency, the updates, whatever it has to be, but you guys got to get this done. Like, we got to get over the finish line. I get it. It sucks, but we're late. January, we're supposed to have possession. So.
The original punch list, was several pages, but it was supposed to be done, July?
Correct.
I mean, it's been since then. And I do think that, I agree, we're not getting, from what I understand, we're not getting responses back. We know these things have to be done. They're being worked on or recall or whatever, but we need to have some deadlines here.
So I'm mainly concerned about getting this thing over the finish line and getting in the building. But could someone explain to me? I also am interested in, like, this Zephyr railing thing. How does it work when did Zephyr put the railing in the wrong place? Was it designed wrong? How does it work, and who pays for changes like this when things go wrong? Could you explain some of that to me?
So Zephyr installed the hand railing incorrectly. Sean noted it. I believe Sean and the building inspector noted it. As soon as it was noted, Zephyr was informed that they had to remanufacture the handrail. They sent us a proposed option, which we rejected. And then it took them a handful of weeks to get us another option. And in the meantime, they did get the notice to cure. In the handrail they have now, it's the costs and are all in them. They will take care of it. But yes, that's the main thing is just
Okay.
getting them to be responsive.
So these costs are on Zephyr, and is that part of the reason why they're not responding is because the costs are on them? And they're not wanting to do it?
I don't think so. I think in general, I think everybody's busy and they're being unresponsive. And in general, the notice to cures, we sent them out. And I believe since you guys hold the contracts, if you want to send a follow-up notice to cure that it has to be cured, I think you guys are in all right to do that.
Okay. So one last thing on the shrouds, Jeremy. So what's the next steps? I wasn't clear on what our next steps on getting this going with either Sloan or Barnes Manufacturing.
We've requested proposals from them. I spoke to Barnes Manufacturing about 4:30 today. I told him that we we're going to move forward with a proposal with the singles and a proposal for the doubles. And we will also talk to Sloan and have them send us a proposal for the singles. And those will be sent over to James and Bill for review. And we just need to move forward with them.
Okay, so Sloan doesn't have a solution for the doubles regardless. Barnes is our only option for doubles, right?
Correct.
There is, well, sorry, Jeremy, not to contradict, there is a solution for the doubles, but I think aesthetically, you could get a better product with Barnes. Just how they designed it, we did not find it acceptable, but that I sent it over. If the library finds it acceptable, we can do it.
I mean, I haven't seen the Sloan proposal. I mean, I just would think that the same place doing both and make them look the same would kind of make some sense.
I wouldn't disagree, but that none of them are next to each other.
Mhm.
So the singles are in single-use restrooms, the doubles are in your public restrooms. So depending on the cost and the lead time is how we make our recommendation. And I think, you've clearly said tonight, and urgency schedule is important. So that's where we'd probably sit.
Okay.
On a recommendation.
Good. So am I hearing that it sounds like we're getting fairly close on the shrouds. We're getting fairly close on this railing, maybe if we can get Zephyr on there. Is the door lock kind of more of the bigger question mark?
I don't think so. I just need to get with CTI and Hawkeye and Acme tomorrow, and I need them to tell me dates on when they can get this stuff done.
Okay, good.
Outside of some of our long lead items.
Jeremy, then we ask that you get a response back to James and Bill within the next 48 hours, like Councilman Strahan recommended, with timelines on those things we've identified that we have to have before we open. The outside railings, the interior railing, the shrouds, and the door locks.
Yeah, I should be able to have all those answers by the end of day tomorrow.
We're sitting in September. I'm not comfortable waiting until October for us to meet again and talk about this. Is there a way we can have a meeting next? He
Yep, so
said,
after this-
meeting tomorrow about the doors. He said a meeting next week with Peak about the exterior rail. Hopefully we can get something back from Zephyr. I would propose that we wait till a week before we decide whether we go with Scald Guards or the Barnes Manufacturing solution. I don't want to do both and pay for both. But if we can set up a meeting in a week, does that give you enough time to craft some sort of I don't know, a notice that we are serious and are going to go forward with our next steps if necessary for Zephyr.
I can send a follow-up letter to my original notice tomorrow. I don't need direction to do that. I can go ahead and do that and just let them know, if you don't do this, here are the potential options that the board could follow through with. I don't have to say, we're absolutely going to do this, and then it would be up to you. I can give them a short time frame of 7 days to give us a response.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Can we set a meeting for next?
Yes, we
midweek
can set a
next week?
special meeting for 1 week from today.
If she's going to send it tomorrow and give them 7 days, can we set it for later in the week, next week perhaps? So that we know, because if they don't respond to that, I mean, don't speak for the board, but I will be coming with a motion to take our next steps. This is not really.
Yep. I will take a look at the calendar, see what works for everybody and get a special meeting set up.
Thank you.
Can the letter say that you need to respond before this meeting because the board will decide if they're going to do this, or this on this date? If you have not responded?
Yes, I can put in that there will be a special meeting on such and such date once Bill has that date. So set up your meeting tomorrow, Bill.
And Councilman, and board members, we'll be also doing some follow-up phone calls, letting them know that these letters are coming.
One more question on the shrouds. Tom Barnes had indicated some interest in possibly getting some hold harmless in relation to the ADA requirements. And I just wanted to make sure that was still possible. And does he have to request that formally working through Engberg and Bush? Or how does he go about that?
The hold harmless would have to come from the city or the library board.
We can draft that.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay, so we've hashed this probably 17 times. By tomorrow, close of business, I think I'm hearing we will know. Rather, we'll be able to meet these 4 requirements and when we will meet those. And if we can't meet those, what our backup plan is. Is that accurate? There's 4 items preventing us from opening our doors. And I think I heard by tomorrow, we'll know status on those or what the backup plan is. Can I get
Correct.
a
I will
copy?
give those individuals calls tomorrow and I will set up meetings. And I will get answers on the electronics of the place, including your locks, handrails, long lead items. I have an update. I know that Tom said it was going to be roughly 6 weeks for him to produce the laboratory shrouds. We have a second option of scald guards. But yes, I feel like I can have a full report of all that stuff by end of day tomorrow for you.
And the report will include when we'll have those items completed and or a backup plan, right? I think report is important, but then I think I heard we need to get this done so we can open the doors. So not just a report, but sort of what's next.
Yes, I can have that for you.
Appreciate all your input and thank you, Jeremy and Sean. We'll look forward to a report soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
We are up to a public forum part of the agenda. Are there any other comments that any of the guests today would like to make? Then we'll go on to the minutes. We've all had a chance to review our August minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Friends of the Library report. You want to come up to a microphone?
Okay, really quickly, I'm Sue Hirschner. So thank you for having me. I'm gonna give you some help here, all right? So first of all, we have arranged to sell all of the furniture that was left, or most of the furniture that was left in the old library. And we piled it, and Jill Streisand was amazing.
By the time we
And it was sold to various other libraries, small libraries that were local, people that wanted to, accumulate library cards, inspections, furniture, and over $3,000 were sold from the library furniture. And Jill did an amazing job. If you see her, give her a big pat on the back. And she said, "Oodles of time taking pictures, meeting with people to sell it, etc." So another endeavor that we've been really for the Downtown National Library and friends of the library program for the library. The one that we did was we sent out letters to local businesses, and so after they were very involved with being on it, signing the letter, we had very positive donations, and the biggest donation I'd like to report is Peter After donated $4,000 to the Valley Furniture Education Library. That was how we made it. And when you look at the annual cost of $24,000 to support the 1,000 students, 1,000 children of the 5 that are registered in Marion, that fundraised contributions. And so far we've got the youth and and other funds that actually the library to support that. We closed our online registration, and I think we'll make much of the past and all super registration. Children registered, so we have to be kind of think creatively on how to raise this money to continue to support this program. Another thing that we were putting out is a tax letter, and then it's going to all of the actively above 240 members of the library as well as other people. We're asking for them to join us in membership and actually have members for everyone. I'm sorry, I don't know names, but I'll try to close out. And if someone has your name, I'll send that back to them. But basically, it's just telling how to become a member, what incentives there are to become a member. And there really are some like punch cards to get free books, bookstore, and a mug or a bag. The logo is pretty so I think it works very well with the new library. It's not just all about books, it's about the making space where they can do people stuff. So create your own story is so local. You're completely set that will present to plan. And I'd like to thank you too for including having a friend store sign that it was really important to us that people want to participate in to purchase the book. And I know Nancy contributed one current book to our bookstore. And if anybody has any current books that they finished reading 2017 copyright and newer, I'd like to start off with a really nice collection of the library of generous pay for all of that story. So that's exciting. So are there any questions at all?
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a brief recess while we wait for Bill to come back. So about, let's say 5 minutes. Okay, we're gonna come back into session here and have a report from Amy on the Library Foundation.
Well, I am thrilled to be to be able to continue the good news that we heard from friends. So today we received confirmation of a gift that has not only helped us reach our $3 million goal, but it has put us way over. So we are thrilled is an understatement, but it's been a long haul. It has been a team effort. There are a lot of people that have done a lot of work on this campaign, and there are a lot of people, and all of us really can take great pride and excitement and a sense of accomplishment to know that we've reached our goal and surpassed that, really. And I think the other thing that has been reaffirming to us is that we all know it's a great building and has the potential to be a great building. We see it, we're in it, we're working in it. We can envision what it's going to look like someday with people, other people in it besides us. And the thing that's nice for us to hear and see is when we bring potential donors through and we watch their reaction and we get their confirmation and their words of affirmation about the building. They're excited about it. They see the potential and they want to be a part of it. And I think where we're at with the campaign is a reflection of that people not only want to be a part of it, but they're willing to put their dollars where their mouth is. So it's been a good day. We started at, what a great way to start a Monday, right? And that, I think that may have been my first email this morning. Along that same line, we still have outstanding requests that are out. So the campaign continues on. Who knows where we may end? So exciting news there. I think I reported last month that we had submitted an ARPA grant for the mobile library, and those county grants for county projects will be announced. I don't know if maybe the end of this month or into next. Do you know anything? Okay. End of this month? Okay. Do you know anything else? Okay. I'm watching you. No pressure, but you know. If we get that grant, that will put the mobile library project to rest. We'll be done with that. So really good. Been obviously thrilled with the response from the community and the volunteers that have helped and all that. So it's been a great ride.
Amy,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. When you say bring home the mobile library, does that include the overage as well?
Yeah.
That the city committed to helping us out with if we weren't able to raise?
That is correct, Bill.
Thank you, Amy.
Yes. Along with all of that, there's reports and donor thank yous and reaching out to people, keeping them abreast of the situation, letting them know where we're at with their named opportunities, in particular people that have given at a gift level that have an area that they did a naming sponsorship for. We'll talk about that a little bit with the library tour. Working with the sign people to finalize signage in the building. Follow-up reports for grants, invoices, letters, a lot of behind the scenes stuff that just kind of continues on. But I think the big takeaway is we're there. So thank you all for all of your help and support and just word of mouth about what a great project it is. We really appreciate it. So along with all the challenges, we have some really good things to celebrate and just really happy to be able to share that with you tonight. So thank you.
Started the meeting.
Good night.
Thank
Thank
Good
you
night.
for your help. Thank you.
Is there any art advisory committee report? Kara's not here, so.
There will not be any this month.
Okay, and finance committee, Kim isn't here.
Ross is on the finance committee. I'm not
Ah.
sure there's a significant update for that.
Ross, is there any update from the finance committee?
As is Chelsea
Maybe he's not there.
or Chelsea.
Or Chelsea? I have a report from the personnel committee. We do finally have an employment contract for Bill. We discovered this a while back that he did not have a contract. So the city has a form. The personnel committee looked at that. We made a couple of minor changes that the city attorney and the city manager approved, and we finally are ready to sign that. So it's the standard contract for a department head.
Happy 14-month
Yeah,
anniversary.
yeah.
Welcome to the Marion.
Right.
Thanks for not renegotiating.
Yeah.
That was a gap from Bradbury Miller. Got missed. And it's been a work in progress for several months. It's been in the works for several months. So it's finally come to fruition.
Can we go back a little bit?
Sure.
This period,
Yeah.
is there any update of see around the hard allocation of money at all?
No.
The state before we get that. So no.
There was no update. That money has been requested formally as a part of the capital improvement project plan, capital improvement budget. Yeah. So, but no, we won't get word on that, for several months, whether it's approved or not.
We're up to policies, Joe.
I turn this on. The photo and video recording policy was just a review. There were no recommended changes to that one. The distribution and display policy just changed the first paragraph to say that information may be posted in the library's vestibule in the designated display case. So that's in the little entryway, and the north side of the building is where nonprofit information could be. And there's a glass display case there that can go in. Posting and pamphlets may be rearranged and removed at the discretion of library management. We changed that from staff to management just to be a little more specific. And that's it on this. Any questions about that before I move on? And then the final policy is the laptop loan policy. This one we reviewed at the last board meeting, and we had a few questions about this. I think one of our questions was, can the laptops be reserved, kind of like our meeting rooms can be reserved? If so, we would put that information in the policy. And so the answer to that is no, they cannot. So the answer is they cannot be reserved.
And that is congruent with the way laptops were utilized in the old building when we had them there as well.
Right. So, so then that around that discussion, there was just concern because we had in our policy that they may be used in the library for a period of up to 2 hours. And so there was just some people concerned that, well, what happens after 2 hours if I'm working on something and I want to do something else? And, you know, can I reserve it again? And that's where all those kind of questions came up. And so since that we added this additional bullet right below that to say additional time may be granted by staff based on availability. So in other words, we're saying if they want to walk up to the desk and say my 2 hours are about up, but I'm in the middle of my theme paper, can I get some more time? And if there's 4 laptops left in the, you know, for other people to check out, they'll say, sure, we can sign you up again. So that's the thought. And I think there was nothing else on this one, was there? I think that was the only thing additional and new that we added beyond all the other recommendations we made last month.
Chelsea and Ross.
Are they still on? Then we have
If Ross is there. Hey, Ross, are you there? If you're there, turn on your microphone and let us know. I don't think we can pass this without, unless Ross weighs in.
Table them.
So we'll table these.
I'm here.
Oh, he's there.
Yeah, we need Chelsea and Ross both.
Oh, we need both of them? Because we need 6.
Figure out my buttons. So,
Oh, we could do it at a special meeting. Okay. Oh, so yes, so you need a motion. Oh, sure, I'll move that we table these until the next meeting.
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So there isn't a quorum to table them.
Oh, we can't do that either. Well, we're just gonna leave them, I guess.
So we're just talking about them tonight then.
Didn't take any action on them. That's what's in the minutes. Kimberly, is that we discussed the policies with.
We discussed the policies, but we didn't take any action. Do we say why in the minutes? Because there was no quorum?
All right, so in the spirit of time, we are already past 6:30. My report was in your packets. I hope you had an opportunity to take a look at that. One of the highlights I would like to point out is in the budget area. We are right on par for spending for the year. 16% of the fiscal year has lapsed. We're at 15% spending, so that is spot on. Our revenues are a little bit low right now. We're only at 5% revenues, but the revenues are a bit more sporadic in nature as they come in. So I expect we'll come closer to where we need to be as state monies trickle in this month and next month. Our statistics were significantly higher this month, in August, than they were the previous month. That can be attributed to ease of access on 7th Avenue, I suspect, as well as Cedar Rapids closing. So they were closed because of the fire there, so we saw an increase of business there. Other than that, I'm not going to go through the rest of the bullet points in the report. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to entertain those at this time.
Has anyone had attended any continuing education? And we will not have a motion to adjourn until after the tour, and then we'll have to call somebody or,
Or phone a friend.
yeah, call a friend.
So does this group still want to do a tour? Thank you, Rob.